Hey, it's Tom
And Mike.
from Take Time to Travel.
I can't believe we haven't done this before, but even though we've lived in Toronto for many years, we haven't gone down to High Park to check out the cherry blossoms. So today, we're gonna go do that. Come on, let's go check it out.
On this beautiful spring day in the middle of May, we walked down St. George Street just as the leaves were starting to come out on the trees. And after about 10 minutes, we arrived at St. George subway station. We walked through the automatic doors, down the stairs, and onto the platform on line 2, so that we could catch the train over to High Park to see the blossoms.
We rode the subway for 9 stops, about 15 minutes, and got off the train at High Park Station, which, unsurprisingly, is just across the street from High Park. The park's entrance has lots of pretty tulips, but let's keep going to see the main attraction, the cherry blossoms. Let's go check them out.
Just across from the parking lot, we saw our first cherry blossoms, so we had to go have a look. What a lovely looking tree! And just across the field, there were some more cherry blossom trees. This one's blossoms look especially full. Very pretty. But there are a lot more cherry blossoms in High Park, so let's keep going.
Once we turned off the road and onto the walking trail, we started to see lots of beautiful blossoms. Love how you can see the cherry blossoms all the way down the hill. What a gorgeous area. On a nice spring day, this is a great spot for a picnic or for doing a painting. But let's keep moving and see some more.
A little ways down the hill, you'll find this pretty area with lots more beautiful blossoms. The sakura blossoms just seem to keep on going and going. What a scenic stroll underneath the cherry blossom trees. Love it. But High Park's pretty big. So let's keep walking along the pathway, which is lined with lots of gorgeous cherry blossom trees. High Park in the springtime sure is picturesque.
Although it can get pretty busy. This was taken during a weekday morning and there were still quite a few people. But I can see why with all the beautiful blossoms. Let's continue walking under the pretty blooms and make our way down the sandy pathway on the hill over towards Grenadier Pond, the largest pond in High Park.
Love these wonderful willow trees just beside Grenadier Pond, which is actually a pretty big pond for being within the city of Toronto. But let's keep going and make our way back up the sandy pathway on the hill to see what else there is in the spring in Toronto's High Park. Just beside the blooming cherry blossoms, you'll also find some spectacular forsythia blooms too, like this massive bush here. There's even some alcove type things to take some nice pictures. Very pretty.
After we took a quick video selfie at the side, we continued along on our leisurely spring stroll down the pathway until we arrived at this beautiful area just on the other side of the hillside gardens, which had an abundance of sakura blossoms in full bloom. Wow, stunning! These were probably some of my favorite blossoms in High Park. It was so picturesque walking along under the mature cherry blossom trees here. What a gorgeous perspective!
Just on the other side of those beautiful blossoms, there's the Hillside Gardens, which is yet another picturesque area of High Park. We saw this group there taking pictures by the flowers, which are nice, but I think these stunning cherry blossoms would make a much better background. The Hillside Gardens sure is an amazing area to relax on a warm, sunny spring day. As we kept going, we saw more blossoms. And right beside the Grenadier Pond, we saw this swan grooming itself. Very cool.
It was such a lovely experience, walking underneath all of the blooming sakura trees in High Park. Very relaxing. The blossoms sure are beautiful. They make for a great background for your Instagram photos. It sure was the perfect spring day to enjoy the views of all of the pretty cherry blossom trees in bloom. But let's keep going and continue our leisurely stroll along the pathway over towards this big wooden dock overlooking the pond. From the wooden dock, you get nice views looking in both directions, both of the blossoms and of Grenadier Pond, which is so big it looks more like a lake than a pond. Love the contrast with the towers in the distance. This dock sure does offer great views, but let's keep going.
A little bit further down the pathway, we saw a couple more swans and a little duck just by the shore. Unexpectedly, a bird came and attacked the swan, and the swan chased away the duck. A little National Geographic of our own. We also saw the trackless train, which you can ride for a fee, and it takes you on a scenic 30-minute ride throughout High Park. But we continued our walk on foot to enjoy the picturesque views of the park.
We kept wandering along the pathway until we made it to the bottom of Grenadier Pond. What a lovely sight! We continued our exploration of the winding pathways and eventually got to this nicely landscaped area above the hillside gardens. Even though there's no water, it's still very pretty.
As we kept walking across the pathways of Toronto's 400-acre High Park, we made it over to this section with the rows of these pretty little blooming magnolia trees. What a great spot for a picture. Not too much further, there was this garden where the flowers were just starting to come out, and around the bend there was this massive magnolia tree in bloom. Beautiful! What a gorgeous pathway under the blooms. But we're getting a tad bit tired after all that walking, and could relax a little bit. So let's head over to the patio of the Grenadier Cafe.
We lined up at the hut in the corner for a tasty treat. Even though the prices were crazy, we had to get some of our favorite ice cream. I got my favorite flavor, Kawartha Dairy Moose Tracks, and Tom got the cookies and cream. Both were a double scoop in a waffle cone. After we paid, we sat down and Tom bit into his ice cream like a savage. Who bites their ice cream? After we replenished our energy with some ice cream, we kept exploring the park and saw some interesting things like this carving in the tree trunk, some more beautiful blooming cherry blossom trees, and this cool Toronto Zoo reduce, reuse, and recycle display of a polar bear. What a neat looking display. That sure is one interesting way to reuse hundreds of pounds of plastic that was washed ashore from oceans and waterways around the world. There's also the over-the-top Jamie Bell Adventure Playground, which was actually constructed by TV personality Mike Holmes after the previous playground that was there burnt down.
High Park sure is beautiful in the springtime, with all the blooming cherry blossoms all throughout the different sections of the park. But we're getting hungry, so let's head out of High Park and go get some nearby tasty food to eat. We walked east on High Park Boulevard over towards Roncesvalles Avenue so that we could sit down, relax, and get some tasty Polish food. We turned right on Roncesvalles Avenue and continued walking down the street. After about a 10-minute walk from High Park, we arrived at Cafe Polonez. Let's head inside now and check it out. Cafe Polonez serves delicious home-style Polish dishes as well as tasty Eastern European fare. We made our way over to our table, sat down, and started with a couple Molson Canadian beers, which hit the spot nicely. Cheers! That sure is refreshing after all that walking.
To eat, we got the cabbage roll stuffed with rice and pork, topped with tomato sauce and served with potatoes and a trio of side salads, and the homemade boiled potato and onion pierogies, served with sour cream and fried onions and pork, as well as the Hungarian-style potato pancakes stuffed with goulash and served with a side bouquet of salads, and the tasty pork schnitzel sandwich. Everything tasted amazing, but one of my favorites was the potato pancake stuffed with goulash, which is a delicious stew loaded with chunks of pork. The pierogies and everything else at Cafe Polonez were very tasty too. Overall, we would definitely recommend this place for some tasty Polish food.
We had a great time seeing the gorgeous cherry blossoms in High Park for the first time. It's such a beautiful park with the lovely Grenadier Pond and lots of wildlife to see. It's no surprise why High Park attracts so many visitors each year to see the beautiful cherry blossoms. Well, we really enjoyed making today's video, and we hope you enjoyed watching it too. If you did, we'd really appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications on our future videos. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps our channel to grow.
And remember, take time to travel. Catch you on the next one.